Uh, We will now proceed with the business portion of the meeting, and we'll start with Dr. Bird Bennett's report.
Thank you, President Vitale and members of the board. Good morning.
Morning.
Our children's academic achievement and well-being must come first. In order for us to ensure a high-quality education for every child, we need to acknowledge the reality that for too long, too many of our children in this district have not received the resources that they need to succeed in the classroom. And that is because they have gone every day in underutilized, under-resourced schools. If we refuse to acknowledge this reality, if we do not take action to address the status quo, I believe our children and our city's future will ultimately pay the price. The last time I presented to the board, I shared my response to some misconceptions about my recommendations to consolidate underutilized schools. And since then, a fourth round of community engagement has begun, and I'd like to take an opportunity to update you on this process. I will start by saying I will always plan with the community rather than for the community, because I know that in order for all of our students to succeed and thrive, they need the support of an engaged and empowered families and adults. This is why we went to Springfield last year to request that the legislature give us additional time to engage communities in authentic, meaningful ways on the front end of the process. This extension allowed me to appoint a commission on school utilization, which conducted its independent community engagement and provided us with recommendations on how to best address our utilization crisis. We also used the time to hold community meetings at every network and neighborhood in the district, where we were able to listen and learn directly from over 20,000 CPS parents, teachers, students, principals, and community members. We are now in the fourth stage of community engagement, which we continue to listen. Over 6,600 stakeholders have attended more than 120 meetings we've held for the proposed actions. Over 2,400 have shared their views. With approximately 4 weeks before recommendations that have been presented to you come to a board vote, I feel confident in saying that we've provided a solid platform for community feedback and are listening to every voice throughout this process. The commitment to engage and to listen permeates this administration and will continue throughout. You can see the direct impact of community feedback and the consistent objective criteria we developed for utilization, which started with the identification of 330 schools and has narrowed to 54 schools or program closures that have been proposed to the board. You can see our commitment in the process in the development of the customized safe passage routes for our children. We've begun that process of meeting with leadership in every community to make sure that we are targeting the correct areas to provide the additional safety resources that every student will need. And you can see it in how our principals and staff have responded to the challenges we face as we seek to consolidate underutilized buildings. Last week, my team and I held meetings, evening meetings with welcoming school principals and LSC chairpersons to update them on the plans for transition to welcoming schools and to provide them with the opportunities to learn of the plans for children with diverse learning needs as well as the safety passage. Over the last several weeks, I've had the opportunity to visit and meet with our welcoming school principals who have assessed the readiness of their buildings and their schools for this fall, should this board approve those actions with the recommendations that were provided in May. The observations and the walkthrough in those buildings have been incredibly powerful. I've observed the commitment of so many of our LSC chairs and the principals to do what is in the best interest of our students. I've observed a desire to ensure that the transition process be smooth for each and every child impacted by an action. And I've observed talented and dedicated staff who will do whatever it takes to ensure that our students receive a high-quality education. I've observed principals who are demonstrating outstanding leadership as they work to ready their schools and their community as a welcoming school this fall. Today I am joined by two outstanding principals that I was with last week, we were together. And I'd like to introduce to you these two principals. First, Sarah, and I'm going to say your last name incorrect, Sarah Abdallah? Am I saying it correctly? Say it again, I'll say it. Abdalal. Sarah Abdalal from Brenneman Elementary, and Ms. Anita Muse from Langston Hughes Elementary. And I believe you may have your APs or members of your staff with you as well that you might want to recognize. At this time, I'd like to ask of each of them to provide to you remarks about the work that they are currently engaged in and will lead us to the fall.
I would like to take this time on behalf of all the students at Brenneman Elementary School to thank Dr. Barbara Bird Bennett as well as the board for acknowledging and hosting us here today. Brenneman School, we are a welcoming school. The school that will be welcomed into Brenneman School is Stewart Elementary School. I have had the unique pleasure to work with a team of the transitional leadership at Stewart School, along with this leadership team at Brenneman School. Some of the things we have been doing is looking at a needs assessment and assessing what space we have to do what with. Our first goal is to make sure we identify the academic needs of all of our students, as well as making sure that we maintain the safety first of all of our students. So we continue to work with a stellar team. We have been visiting each other's school. We had teachers from Stewart School to visit Brenneman School, and acknowledging the fact that utilization is an issue for both schools. So it is in the best interest of taxpayers that we do merge these two schools. And I have to say, I'm really, really excited about this opportunity. Brenneman School has so many things to offer, and we look forward to the amazing work that is going on currently at Stewart School to fuse together and really cultivate and hone in on schools of excellence together as Bobcats and as Tigers. So I'm really looking forward to that. And it just makes sense. Brenneman School offers gym, we offer library, we offer art, visual arts, and we also have a strong music band team at Brenneman School. Those opportunities currently are not held at Stewart to the level that we think is the greatest interest of the students, and by merging those schools, they get the best of both worlds. So I'm really excited about that. One of the other things I'm excited about is to look at the leadership team at Stewart, those teacher leaders, and make sure that those best practices that are occurring at that school does become a part of the fabric of who we are as Bobcats and leading our students forward. The last thing I want to talk about is making sure, again, that safety is always first when we look at our students. And we have actually walked the neighborhoods. We have people who are currently walking the neighborhood, making sure that once this merger takes place, safe passage with safety and security here at Chicago Public Schools, along with safe passage from our Chicago Police Department does take place, and that this is a smooth transition for all involved. We have our parents fully engaged, our community members fully engaged, and most especially, we are engaging our students. We're telling both sets of students we will become one united family, and we intend to continue the excellence that we support there at Brenneman School with all of our students, both at Brenneman and at Stewart, will become one family. And again, on behalf of all the students, I appreciate the opportunity to present here to the board members. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Anita Muse, and I'm the proud principal of Langston Hughes School. And I first just want to say thank you to Dr. Bennett. It was a pleasure meeting her. She came to our school, she sat next to me, and I knew that it was going to be a good meeting because she made us feel welcome in my house. And so I just really wanted to say thank you. And I have a lot to say, but I know I only have a few minutes to say it. But it would, I just have to say, Dr. Sappho is not here, but she is Rock Island Network's Chief of Staff. And the things that we do at Langston Hughes, we could not do them without her support. And so, although she's not here, I wanted to definitely go on record as saying thank you to her because she has been walking through with us through this entire process. If I stood up here and said that this was an easy time, that would not be true. This is a difficult time. It's a difficult time for you. It's a difficult time for the principals and the schools, it's a difficult time for the children, and it's a difficult time for parents. And that's the reality of it. And so I'm not one to think about that things aren't hard and to address them as they're hard. But one thing I do know is that whenever we keep children first, that if we err even on the side of children, we have done a good job. And so although, Dr. Bennett, you have had to make some tough decisions, and many people do not agree, and I'm here because it's change. And we know how change is difficult. So I just want to be honest. But I'm also glad to be a part of the process. And I'm also glad that Langston Hughes School is able to be a welcoming school, because one thing, I have a school community, but all the children in Chicago Public School belong to Anita Muse, belong to Langston Hughes. We care for them all. And so when we bring our children in, and they are our children, they're going to be cared for, they're going to be loved, and they're going to be educated. And we, unlike my colleague, we have not had an opportunity yet to meet the children and the families, but we have met with Kimberly Collier, who is the principal of Cone School, and we are working closely. As a matter of fact, we have a meeting tonight with her for her team and our teams to get together and really talk about what's in the best interest of children. And that's how we're taking this. And so I just want to tell you a little bit about Langston Hughes School. We are on the south side of Chicago in one of the toughest neighborhoods in Roseland. But I'm glad to be there because those children need us there. We have something that Cone doesn't have. We have a Japanese program. We have a partnership with Tokyo, Japan, where we go every year for free. We take 15 children and 5 adults, and we stay 1 week. And so we're going to be able to offer that to our new family members. We also have a male and female mentoring program. So many times our children don't have the male figures in their home, but we want to provide that. Coming to school, as much as we're talking about the Common Core standards, it is really more than academics. It is about educating the whole child. And so that's what we're trying to do through our sports program, through our GED program for our children, through our special early childhood program for our 3- and 4-year-olds, making sure that we have a holistic approach to meeting the needs of our children. So what are we going to do to help those who are coming in to our setting? We're going to have an open house just for our new members. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I get in crowds, I don't want to meet a whole lot of new people. So we're just going to bring them in so that they can feel comfortable and see our school and ask the leaders questions without feeling intimidated. We're going to have a parent forum to see what's your concerns? What would you like to see? Here are the things that we're offering. What are you bringing with you from your school that we can keep? So we want to make sure that we keep the lines of communication open. We formed at our school a student welcoming committee because who knows best what children really want? So we're asking our children to think about if you were in their shoes, what would you want? And so that's what we're going to provide for them. Also, we're going to have some summer academics and sports clinic because it's nothing like getting people on the floors playing together for them to get to know each other and then to make sure academically that they're ready when they come in and we're all on the same page. And then we're going to have a welcome back to school fair and an ice cream social to make sure that they have their medicals, to make sure that they have supplies. We want to make sure that we provide that for them. And then lastly, we're going to have on the first day, huge, yes, we're going to be about academics, of course, but we're going to have a back to school assembly where we're all going to get together, parents are going to be invited, and we're going to make sure that we are, just like two families blended together, we're going to make sure that we're blended. And so by the time they come in September, it won't be their welcoming school. It will just be their school. Thank you.
Nice.
These are just two of our exemplary leaders in our schools who have taken this challenge on as a part of their commitment to our children. Anita did not share with you, but I'm going to tell it because I thought it was an incredible, and I've been sharing with every principal that I've talked to. She also has student ambassadors who are writing postcards to a specific child in the ascending school to be their buddy and their partner as a part of her student ambassador program. And I just thought, I've been sharing that, Anita, with everybody who listened to me, which is an incredible thing to do. Board members, to conclude my remarks, I want to again highlight the investments we are going to make in our welcoming schools. Our FY13 supplemental capital budget, if approved by the board at this meeting, will invest $155 million to upgrade and enhance welcoming school facilities. These investments will allow the district to provide every welcoming school with a library that is rich with modern resources and learning materials. Every classroom will have air conditioning. Every student in grade 3 through 8 will have an iPad or a laptop. We will upgrade our technology infrastructure and invest in computer, engineering, media, and science labs. And we will make cosmetic upgrades as needed to ensure that all of the welcoming schools are clean, attractive, have a positive learning environment. And I like to say that the classrooms will pop to tell our students that we respect them and that they will be safe in a clean environment. I'd like to call Ginger Ostro, our CPS budget director, to discuss more specifically what is included in the supplemental capital budget. Ginger?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to present the FY13 supplemental capital budget to you today. In November of last year, the board approved the regular FY13 capital budget, providing about $110 million of investments that support student learning by supporting our facilities, ensuring that buildings are safe, warm, and dry, and providing programmatic investments. This proposed budget adds to what was approved in November to provide support for facility investments that need to be done before school starts in the fall. This includes $155 million of investments in welcoming schools that provide, as Dr. Bird Bennett just outlined, air conditioning in every classroom, library support, and other investments in programmatic initiatives. In addition, this budget provides support for other programmatic investments that we'll go through in a moment to be ready for school in the fall. In total, it's about $364 million that we're asking for approval from the board today. We focus on two different categories of investments. The first is related to welcoming schools and other school actions that are under discussion right now. And the second broad category is programmatic investments. Take you through the financials just for a moment here. In total, it's $364 million that we are requesting support for. Of that, $33.9 million is coming from the city through TIF funding. This is consistent with what we outlined in November, that we would invest in additional projects if we had external support. And these two projects we do have external support for. The remaining about $330 million will come from CPS funding, which I'll describe more fully in a moment. First category investment that is the $155 million that we previously announced to provide support for welcoming buildings, welcoming schools. This again will provide air conditioning, libraries, investments in STEM and IB programs, building repairs, and other investments to make these good learning environments for our children. In addition, there are other similar types of investments in schools that will be co-locations or site of turnarounds that again are providing the infrastructure and the facility support to facilitate student learning. Let me turn now to some of the investments that we're making in facilities to support new programmatic initiatives. First, international baccalaureate schools. We have 11 schools that will be receiving support to provide upgrades to their labs as well as ADA modifications. Secondly, full-day kindergarten, a new policy that we've implemented for next year to provide full-day kindergarten to all 30,700 kindergarten students. We're going to be providing about $15 million of support to make sure that they have good facilities for those programs. We'll also be providing support for textbooks across the district, literacy textbooks for Common Core, implementation of Common Core for next year. And we'll also be providing a new system called a point-of-sale system, which is a computerized system so that students can carry electronic cards to pay for lunch and not have to carry cash. This helps us obviously in our cash tracking, as well as makes it much easier for families to get information because it'll all be available online, and to support the electronic cards. Again, in total, this is about $364 million of total expenses. There's essentially three sources of funding for this. First, as I outlined a moment ago, TIF funds from the city that provide direct support for our capital programs in the two projects that I outlined. Secondly, we estimate that the cost of the program will be about $25 million of debt service once we borrow funds to pay for it, that will begin in fiscal year 15. And again, this is the year after next before we'll have to start paying for the projects. About half the cost of that will support the welcoming schools, the $155 million in investment in welcoming schools. We estimate that debt service to be right around $12 million. And that will come from the savings from the school consolidations, that will support the investments in the welcoming schools. Again, this is after we have made the other investments that will be made during the next 2 years. Then we will have freed up resources to pay the debt service. The remaining portion will come from our regular capital plan, because a number of these projects have been accelerated, such as the point-of-sale system, to be able to complete them now rather than in later years, and other investments in our buildings. So these will be supported through our regular capital planning process. Let me just talk briefly about our timeline. We released this capital budget on April 5th. We held 3 public hearings on April 17th to give opportunity for the public to comment on this. It has been available on our website since April 5th, and which I'll show you in just a moment, so that people could get a sense of what the projects are and how the and what schools things are located in. We are bringing the proposal to you now and today, and asking for your support and approval for this, so that we can begin the planning process and have the projects completed this summer, so that they are ready when school starts in August. We are using the Public Building Commission, the PBC, to complete the construction projects for everything that I've outlined here in the capital plan, so that we can continue to focus on our core educational mission and allow the PBC, which has expertise in construction, to manage the construction projects. And you see some of the advantages outlined on the slides that we will receive, in addition to allowing us to focus on education, some of the advantages of having the PBC manage the capital projects. We have provided the website link for our capital plan, and I'd just like to take a moment, if I could, just to show you what the information is that's available there to you. This takes you directly to our capital website. This takes you to detail on the supplemental budget, and I'd like to show you some of the features that have been built, including an interactive project map. That shows you all of the capital projects that are underway right now. And you can look, just if you would like, the green dots show you where the supplemental projects are, the ones that I just outlined for you, so you can see them on the map. And you can select any one of them, and it'll give you a brief description of what the project is. If you'd like more information, you can go to the View Details, and it will pull up a one-page description that shows you each project. Sorry, a little trouble with the mouse. And a picture of what is being proposed. And that's for each of the projects, both that are included in the budget that you've already adopted and the supplemental budget that we're proposing to you today. I think this is a very helpful feature to allow people to continue to see where we're investing, what it is, and provide a level of detail and transparency that we think is important as we go through this process. Thank you very much. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ginger. Barbara, anything?
Thank you very much. Do the board members have any questions?